we're gonna talk a few fights. We're not gonna talk all the fights just because not every fight is interesting. We're gonna focus on the 4 best fights or storylines are most interesting. And the first one I wanted to talk about was Muhammad Mokaev.
Mokaev, I think that's how you pronounce it.
Mokaev, yeah.
Although I'm certainly no patron saint of pronunciation, but
yeah, neither of us are. And he's gonna be fighting Manel Cap, or it's Cap, right? Manel Cap.
Cop. I thought it was Cop or
Cop. Sorry. No Cap.
It could be wrong. No Cap.
Yeah, no. And that's a really interesting fight. You know, it's one of the flyweight division doesn't get a ton of love. It's just always been like that. It's been like that even in boxing too. But these are two of the better fighters making their way up. Manel, had his little bumps when he first came into UFC, but he's really caught a bit of momentum. Although fights falling through, injuries has really effed up his momentum a little bit in the last year or so. And then Mokaev is really just a very talented fighter. Another one of these Russian guys, fantastic grappler, unbeaten. Entering the fight, it's a pick'em, which just shows you how good they both are, and in very different ways. And Cap was a fantastic fighter in Risen and stuff like that. It could very well set up maybe the next contender to Alexander Pantoja, which is how big this kind of fight is. Definitely Mokaev's probably his biggest fight of his career. Maybe the same could be said a toughest fight for Cap. How do you see this fight going? Because this is a very classic striker versus grappler kind of matchup.
Yeah, this is a very classic matchup. Now, before I give a pick, I'm just going to pick for this fight not happening because Manel Cobb has not been very reliable in making it to fight night. Right,
that's very true.
So I have a hard time devoting mental energy to what's going to happen in his fights until the cage door shuts behind him. Like that's sort of where I'm at with this. Like all the the misses on the scale and withdrawals and whatnot. So I don't know what's going on that end. Hopefully he makes it. If he does make it, I do think Mokaev probably gets the win, and that's only because the striker versus grappler classic format that we've seen a million times, most of the time the grappler wins. And Mokaev is very, very much like a workman-like fighter that's going to just sort of go through the checklist of how to get someone down and drag them down and suffocate them. He's not afraid of making it a not too aesthetically pleasing fight to get the win. He will just get the win, and that's what his MO is. Cop is the far more exciting fighter who has the far more exciting highlight reel and by far the better athlete, I think.
Yeah.
But that athleticism gets slowed down when you got somebody that's a grinder. So I think Cop walks away with an L in this one.
Yeah.
It would be nice to see like some flying knee as Mokaev goes in for a takedown or something like that. But the chances of things like that happening against a guy of his caliber and his style of fight, very slim.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like, and maybe you agree, I feel like I've seen this fight before. Like it's just like this guy's just too talented of a grappler. Maybe Manel catches him. He gets him early. He's prepared. He's better defensively against a takedown, all that stuff. But it just feels like this is that classic thing where a good striker who's always been kind of good, but maybe just can't get over that hump to take it to the next level. And this is just those fights that are examples of just coming up short and just staying, like not being a title contender. And hopefully Manel breaks through. But and to add to your point, just of how inconsistent his schedule has been. He fought, let's see, 2 times in 2021. No, 3 times in 4 times. Look at, I'm going 4 times in 2021. 2 of them were losses. One to the reigning champion right now. He gets a 2-fight winning streak. He has only 1 fight in all of 2024. 2 planned bouts were canceled in that year. Then he only has 1 fight again in all of last year, and we have 3 fights were canceled or something fell through or he messed up or whatever that year. And then this year, 2 planned fights against Matthias Nicolau that fell through in January and April. Also, shout out to UFC to Tapology. Tapology has all these stats.
All the cancellations. So beautiful.
Yeah, I love that. So this like his schedule's been so, because I think that hurts too. While on the flip side, Mokaev, let's look at his schedule. He doesn't have quite the same experience. He only has 11 fights, but he fights somewhat regularly.
Yeah. He's been consistent.
Yes, 3 times in 2022, twice last year. He beat Tim Elliott early this year, just a few months ago. He got a big win against Alex Perez. Like he's been consistent. Yeah. He's got the style that wins. I'm gonna pick Mokaev. I'm gonna say submission round 2.
Okay, yeah, I think it would go to decision. Now if Cobb comes out there and just catches him really early with something, I think we have the makings of him just styling on him for the remainder of the 3 rounds, similar to like a TJ Dillashaw, Burrell sort of thing. That real early hit that stuns him. Then Cobb just comes alive, and then he's just doing whatever he wants to do. But I just don't see that happening, man. I think it's just going to look like a textbook fight.
Yeah. Moving on from there, I'm sure this is the fight you're most looking forward to talking to because obviously you're this man's biggest fan. And I'm not talking about Paddy Pimblett. I'm talking about the man formerly known as Bobby Green. It's now King Green now, right?
Yeah.
King Green.
It's been that for a while, I believe. Yeah.
Legally?
Bobby King Green. Oh, legally. Oh, I just thought his nickname. But yeah, legally, yeah.
Yeah, now he's legally King Green. My goodness. I mean, this is a fight that I thought, could happen for a while now, even though you had thoughts of Bobby Green versus Max Holloway, which is just,
which
some of the wildest things.
Sensational.
A sensational loss for Bobby Green. That's what it would be.
But it would be a great fight. It would be a great fight.
I guess you clearly want to see Bobby get beat up now. I thought you were a fan of him. You just want to see him get beat up.
I am a big fan of Bobby Green. And this is a great fight for me because it's a fighter who I've really liked for a long time. I've always enjoyed watching Bobby Green against somebody who I really don't like in Paddy Pimblett. I mean, it's just a wonderful combination. Like this is wonderful. This is great. Like Paddy Pimblett is not good, and Bobby Green is going to chip.
What are you saying? He's never lost in the UFC. He's fantastic.
Paddy, okay, he definitely lost that to Jerry Gordon. Paddy Pimblett is going to get styled on. I'm telling you now, he's going to get styled. Pimblett takes way too much damage. He runs in chin first. Everything he does is very sloppy. Green even if for all of Green's faults and as much as his career has stalled out at times, he's always been a very dangerous style fighter for just about everybody. It's very, very difficult to look very good against Bobby Green. The style of fight that Pimblett likes to fight is like this bulldozer it's like a bull in a china shop. I think Green plays Matador. I think he uses clearly superior footwork, clearly superior shot selection, and just works him over. What he did to Jim Miller, I think we're going to see something very similar against Pimblett. It's probably just going to look a lot worse.
So he's going to finish him, do you think?
I think he might get a late TKO, but I could see this going to a decision. Pimblett's not going to look the same when the decision is read.
Every point you made is accurate. Bobby Green's a better fighter, without a doubt. There's 2 numbers that concern me about Bobby Green and how they go in MMA. One is the number 37, and that's his age, and he's actually going to be 38 in 2 months. And then the other number is 48. That's how many fights he has. And that's how that counts in all the training and we've seen so many times where people just hit a certain point and they just completely fall off the table. And he's like so overdue for that moment where he goes full Tony Ferguson and all of a sudden punches become hard to take and he can't pull the trigger. Like this may not happen here, but I have a weird feeling it is because he should be Paddy Pimblett. Paddy Pimblett has no business winning this fight, and watch him win it just because all of a sudden the UFC perfectly timed it. It's like they had a setting on the oven. They were like, okay, Bobby Green is finally cooked enough to finally give him the Paddy so he can win, and Paddy gets a big win. And I just feel like this is this perfect timing. I wouldn't be mad if I'm wrong, but I'm gonna pick a Paddy Pimblett uninteresting, just barely win split decision because he's going to get that hometown judging, and I think that's going to be a part of it too. He's also the fact that he's in there, he's probably gotten to prepare. Bobby Green's got to travel across. Hopefully he does it in advance, and it's going to be weird timing. I think there's elements that are going to help Paddy Pimblett. I'm going to go Paddy Pimblett, split decision barely. Moving on from there, Co-main event. This is a good fight. This is a really interesting fight. I'm looking forward to this fight. That is reigning interim heavyweight champion, or I mean, let's just say real heavyweight champion at this point, because the other champion doesn't fight at all.
The champ, Tom Aspinall. Yes,
the champ, the heavyweight champ, Tom Aspinall versus Curtis Blades. Curtis Blades, after years of being like a stalwart, top 5 heavyweight, but just keep every time coming up short against title shot. He finally gets his title shot. Really interesting matchup. Both dangerous on the feet. Both are very good grappling wise in different ways. Very even kind of matchup going into the fight. Tom Aspinall is a big favorite. Understandably, he's really never lost in the UFC other than an injury loss, which was to Curtis Blades. How does this fight go? This is rematch, because the first one we really didn't get to see much the first time around. How do you think this plays out? Because this is a big fight for both of them, and both of them are kind of on runs and really got some good momentum going into this fight.
Man, I'm going back and forth with this one a lot. I mean, we didn't get much of a sample size of what the two of them together looks like, but I'm leaning toward Aspinall here because he's just a guy who's lighter on his feet. He's a guy who has just more tools to use, and Blades, I would say, has more power. He's certainly like a charge forward sort of guy. If he gets on top of Aspinall, it's a bad day at the office, but I don't know if he quite does that, and even if he does, I mean, we've seen Blades get the better of someone only to just get slumped, seconds later. We've seen that, and granted, it was against Ngannou and Derek Lewis, two of the heaviest hitters that the division has ever seen. But Tom Aspinall don't hit light, and he's also far more technical than both of them. I think Aspinall edges this one out. And I say edge it out because I think there are going to be a lot of competitive moments, but I don't think we see the scorecards in this one. Give me Aspinall fourth round TKO.
Yeah, that's where I'm going to. It just Curtis Blades. He has everything to be a world champion. He has all the tools. He can win this fight for sure. But there's just like that. That's always been that kind of ingredient, that championship ingredient he's always lacked. In the biggest fights, he doesn't come up big. I mean, arguably one of his biggest wins of his career is the Aspinall thing. I mean, Aspinall got injured. The Jailton Almeida fight that's a good one, but that was partly like Almeida just fighting absolutely stupid, staying in there for like a takedown, just let himself get hammer fisted into oblivion. I agree. I just think he has the tools to get Aspinall down, but even if he gets Aspinall down, Aspinall's a very talented jiu-jitsu guy. That's not an easy thing, so I just feel Aspinall has all the skills. He's just that transition from, like you said, he just rushes it. He doesn't have like those really slick transitions to transition from his striking into his wrestling and catch people off guard. It's kind of just his athleticism and just using his strength. And I think Aspinall's that kind of fighter. That he's like that next level guy. That's just gonna be hard to get him with that. I'm gonna go same thing. Fourth round TKO. I agree with you too. I think it'll be competitive. I think there'll be moments where Blades is winning. He'll get a takedown. He'll probably win a round and stuff like that. Maybe even he'll win 2 rounds going into, but I think he gets finished. Moving on from there, the main event. UFC welterweight champion Leon Edwards returns. Also, this is a rematch against Belal Muhammad, a guy who's been working at a title shot for a long time. He finally gets his title shot. One of the better stories in the UFC about grinding through big winning streak. Very likable fighter. The first fight, even though it ended with an eye poke?
Right.
I don't think it was going great for Belal. That said, he's better since then. But then also Leon is better since then. He's beaten Kamaru Usman twice since then. Beat Colby Covington twice. I mean, once since then. He's a better fighter. Give me a reason why this fight will be different the second time than it was the first time. Because
Leon Edwards has improved greatly from a performance where up until the eye poke looked like he was winning very clearly to me. I mean, since then, he knocked out Kamaru Usman, as you said, and then I think it's more important to think about that rematch with Usman, or the trilogy fight, I should say, with Usman, and how he clearly leveled up. He leveled up something spectacular in between the second and third Usman fights, and we were looking at a different guy who had this next level takedown defense, had perfect timing and just this counter punch. It was like everything was so perfect and so beautifully put together. Meanwhile, Belal Muhammad has continued winning, and he's looked great, but we're also talking about a guy who didn't do quite what he could have against Gilbert Burns with one arm.
Yeah.
I think we're talking about the bar none best welterweight, possible best fighter in the sport right now against a guy who's really good. And I think this is going to be something where we see that there are very, very, very clear levels to this. And Leon Edwards is on another level.
And we talked about this before. You can't buy into MMA math and one person beats one person, they should be another person, those kind of things. But just on a technical level, it's hard for me to wrap my head around the idea that Belal Muhammad, who's also just turned 36, he's not young, is going to be a better grappler than Colby and Kamaru Usman. And I think those two have proven at the highest levels they're very talented at mixing their styles, and they have unique thing like the pressure, or their Kamaru's in his case he's a good striker. It's just I can't wrap my head around saying, oh yeah, Belal Muhammad's going to be able to do what they couldn't do. Now maybe say, oh, Colby Covington wasn't the same fighter, that he wasn't prime Colby, Kamaru underestimated, maybe he's not prime Kamaru, but even then, I mean, at 36, this ain't prime Belal Muhammad as an athlete, maybe mentally and stuff like that. As a fighter, he's his best version, but Leon Edwards is dead right in the middle of his prime, still an athletic prime. He's shut down, stopped from elite level grapplers. And he fought already. Like he's felt Belal Muhammad's strength. He felt how his techniques against the cage. He's felt those things. And I think that's a big advantage going into this. I don't see it. Could I see Belal Muhammad make it all to the end? Sure. I'll go with that. I'll go with the decision. He's not gonna finish him because Muhammad is tough. He'll maybe make it boring at times and try to hold him against the cage and run out minutes and stuff like that and make it go to decision. But yeah, I'm not seeing that one going to a finish.